Hi, I'm Paul Ryan, and welcome to America's Heartland. As consumers, when we go to the grocery store, we give very little thought as to what it takes to get the food from these fields to our tables. But all across the Heartland, farmers and ranchers have to weather enormous challenges, mostly because of the weather. Tornadoes, hurricanes, too much rain, or not enough of it, drought, flood, fire. Today we're on a farm in northern Missouri that's faced everything Mother Nature has to offer and has found success through diversification. We'll have more about that later, but first, we traveled to Illinois where the concern was water. Too much water.
We're due to get some more storms in this weekend. If that would happen, and we would say get another 2 to 4 inches like we did a week and a half ago, possibly all these soybeans that we planted in the last 48 hours might be drowned out.
The sun may be shining today, but Dale Haddon has seen way too many days with cloudy skies and rain this spring. Rain that's forced him to plant and replant soybeans more than once.
We'd have to replant them. In addition to the 60% that we have planted, we have to go back and replant about 10% of that 60% because A, they've either been covered with water for too long a period of time, lack of oxygen causes the seed to just rot and die in the soil, or they were emerged and the water stood over them and just drowned them. For Illinois farmer Dale Haddon and for others throughout the Midwest, spring 2008 is a season to remember. Heavy spring rains filled rivers to overflowing, flooding many of the fields in low-lying areas, and delaying spring planting, in some cases, more than a month into mid-June. Usually, this time of year, I'll start the day between 5 and 5:30, and a lot of times with the late of the planting season this year, it's not uncommon that I'm not getting home until 10:30 or 11 at night. Dale has kept that schedule for several weeks now, and he's not alone. Throughout the Midwest, farmers often find themselves working long hours to accommodate Mother Nature. We have actually ran all night, planted all night a couple times this year, just because we're so late in getting the season planted. In a normal planting season and harvesting season, we don't work all night. It's too dangerous. You get tired, you get fatigued, and you don't pay attention to what's going on. But this year, with the lateness in the planting, we'll work 24 hours a day if we have to. Most common, though, we'll work a lot of 16 and 18-hour days planting and harvesting to get the crop in and get it out. What we're checking for here is the depth of the seed, the soybean seed that we're planting. Typically, I'd like to plant the soybean seeds about 3/4 of an inch to an inch deep. With the excess moisture that we've had this year, we have to be very aware of the fact that these soils are very wet to begin with. We don't want to plant them too deep. When we do finally dry out, the ground will harden and the seeds won't be able to emerge from the depth of the planting depth, so we want to make sure that we keep that as shallow as possible, but yet get good seed to soil contact.
For Dale's dad, Bob Haddon, weather is wreaking havoc with his fields of alfalfa. Whenever there is a break in the weather, Bob rakes and bales as much as he can. You have quite a rain event coming on this evening. They're predicting violent storms.
Very possible large hail, winds, heavy rains, 1 to 2 inches of rain, and it decreases your yield because you lose your leaves off your hay, and also your dollar, where it bleaches it out. Sometimes if it lays there long enough, it will mold, and so you definitely want to get it up in good shape.
Replanting for Dale means increased seed costs, and both he and his dad have seen fuel costs rise dramatically. All of these are realities that come into play as crops make their way from farm to consumer.
I see one of the biggest challenges coming forth, and I do most of the marketing for our operation, is the fact that our margins are not getting any larger with the increased prices, but our risks have doubled from what they were just a year and a half ago, because when we had gross incomes of maybe $500 an acre 2 years ago, they're worth now $1,000. We've just doubled the risk because all of our expenses have doubled along with it. So I have to be that much better of a marketer to decide when to market this commodity.
Dale's wife Amy handles the books. To her, it's pretty simple.
Costs have gone up incredibly. And you have to market it right. Make sure you get enough out of what you sell.
But the uncertainty is not enough to get you to quit.
Well, I married him. I guess that's forever.
The Haddons can find humor even in the face of these challenges, and they have developed a healthy skepticism about the weather.
It's probably 2 months ago on the local TV station they had possible, with the El Nino, possibly severe drought in west central Illinois. That has not came to be. So
Severe drought.
That's
and
what
you've had one of your wettest
yes, exactly.
seasons on record.
Exactly. So the weathermen try, but they don't know it all. This year we're probably at least a month behind, if not 6 weeks, and everything depends on the weather. That's just farming.
My wife kids me that I must be insane to continue to want to do this, but it's something that once you've started farming and you have a love for the land, you want to take care of it. We're very respectful of what goes on the property that we take care of. We expect that to provide a wholesome product for the public, and it's just a responsibility that when you are a farmer that you learn to do that.